Welcome to the BT Sport Score studio. So our huge day on BT Sport, a triple header here, is already underway, with Spurs looking like they've booked themselves a place in the semi-finals, leading Swansea by 3-0 in the latter stages. Later on today on BT Sport, we see the second quarter-final of the day get underway, with Manchester United taking on Brighton at Old Trafford. Joining me in the studio, Michael Owen, Neil Lennon and Chris Sutton. Thanks for joining us, guys. Now, the back pages today pretty much dominated by Jose Mourinho's press conference from yesterday, where he went on a 12-minute rant about football heritage. Let's take a look at his kind of highlights.
Otamendi, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, Aguero. They are investments from the past. Not from the last 2 years, from the past. Do you know where are many of United players that left the club last season? See where they play. Where they play, how they play, if they play. That's football heritage.
So that follows on from Man United's exit from the Champions League to Sevilla on Tuesday night, and he's comparing his Man United side there to Man City. Michael, what did you make of this?
Very strange. I suppose there's a lot of frustration there as well. I don't quite get some of it. I don't quite get where, you know, if you leave Manchester United, well, of course you're going to be playing a team that's not as good, because one, they're not going to sell to their rivals. So really, it's only one way you can go. So that's an inevitable and obvious statement. You know, there's so many. That squad has got so many players that have been there for a long time. You know, title-winning players. I think, you know, it's a pretty strange press conference.
And Neil, Man United fans won't like that he's comparing them to the Man City squad, will they?
No, I don't think they would have liked his comments after the game, the Sevilla game, where he said, I was manager when Porto knocked Manchester United out, I was manager when Real Madrid. That's not what Manchester United fans wanted to hear in the aftermath of what was a very disappointing performance and result. I think he's feeling the pressure a bit at Manchester United. And obviously he's looking across the road. Him and Guardiola have been there at, you know, the same amount of time. There's huge progress in the Manchester City stakes, the way they're taking their season, this season, the second season, and there's regression with Manchester United. And I think the comparisons he's making with both squads, one, it's derogatory to the current squad of players and the players who have left Man United, and two, I think there's a huge deflection there from Mourinho.
And Chris, these comments came after, you know, after the match on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
Completely different type of attitude, wasn't it?
You have to ask yourself, you know, was it good enough, that performance over the two legs for Manchester United, going out in the manner? And the fact of the matter is since he's been in charge, Mourinho has been in charge for a while now, United haven't played exciting football. So then the end justifies the means. If you know, you get knocked out to one of the weaker sides, which we see in the Champions League, then there has to be questions asked. But he is a grumpy man at the moment. He's, you know, cantankerous. This is a totally different figure to the one who, you know, first came over at Chelsea. And I just wonder whether he looks across at the likes of Pep and the likes of Jurgen Klopp, and there's a little bit of jealousy there.
Listen, Guardiola's his nemesis, really. For the last 10 years, Michael, those two have been the best managers in club football, and they're always going to make comparisons with each other. Guardiola plays this beautiful, free-flowing football. Mourinho likes to be more pragmatic in his approach, but win. But at the minute, he's not winning.
But the players,
and the criticism's coming there.
The players he talked about for Manchester City, heritage-wise, who Pep inherited, Pep has made better. Pep has improved them. Can that be the same? Can that be the same said for Mourinho and his Manchester United team?
Yeah, and Michael, you've played for Manchester United. What type of brand of football do the fans expect?
Well, they've lived for 20, 25 years under, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson, playing a brand of football that everybody's aware of. We all probably grew up, you know, being annoyed by it because we couldn't beat them. Pace out wide, attacking. You know, you used to, even if you were 2-0 behind, or even if they were 2-0 behind, you used to think 5 minutes to go, they're still going to get, but they're going to score in injury time. You'd never even think anything like that anymore of Manchester United. They're not an attack-minded team, let's say. You know, I go back to what the lads say. You look at the players that Pep Guardiola has bought and the players that Jose Mourinho has bought, they've had loads of money, but he's never been short of money. But all the players,
300 million already,
and all the players attacking players, I would hate to be an attacking player in his team. I'd love to be a defender. I think he makes defenders look actually better than they are, and I think he makes attacking players. You look at the long list, I mean, De Bruyne and Salah, for starters, are two of the best players in the Premier League. Didn't flourish under him, got rid of him. And now players like Sanchez, who's been the best player in the Premier League for years and years now, he looks like he's never played the game. It's really worrying, I think.
He knew what he was going into, and he was going into United to... I mean, people say, well, this was Jose's style, but he was going in to win the big trophies. That hasn't happened. This is a guy who said it would be a disappointment back in 2013 to win the Europa League. And it hasn't happened, and now we're seeing a reaction, and he's chucking his toys out.
No, and do you think because of the likes of Sanchez coming into the side and it not really working out, Pogba this season hasn't been at his best, do you think that these are just all excuses that he's now making?
Yes. We do that as managers. We tend to...
We've got a grumpy manager here. He does every week.
Deflect away from maybe our own shortcomings at times. Pogba's a great example of what Michael's talking about with De Bruyne and Salah. This is a player who came in for 90 million euros, and all of a sudden he looks totally bereft of confidence. A shadow of the player he was at Juventus and the player we saw at Euro 2016. And he's not getting the best out of him. And he has to ask questions of himself, of his own approach. Michael's right. He is formed. When you want to watch Manchester United, when I want to watch Manchester, you want to watch the Harlem Globetrotters of football. At the minute, we are not being entertained. And I was thinking maybe he's going to throw all his eggs in the one basket of the Champions League. The two games, they got outplayed and outfought and out-attacked by, as Sevilla said here, 5th in the La Liga and 20-odd points behind Barcelona. That performance speaks volumes of what... Yeah, that speaks volumes of what Mourinho's doing at the minute. It's not a great deal of progression. And I can understand the rumblings around Old Trafford. OK, well, the fans have had a lot to say about this on social media. Keep your comments coming in. We're live right now. The United stands say this was a very defiant interview from Mourinho. Memorising all those stats over those years was impressive. But what was the actual point of it? It didn't explain why his team, full of talent, got schooled by Sevilla, felt like an attempt to shift blame and focus on Tuesday night's mess. Anna MUFC says, all I know is I'm exhausted as a supporter now. Give him more players. Whether it changes the football remains to be seen. I just want to enjoy watching the team I've supported for so many years. Mourinho will either leave us stronger or make us implode. And finally, Sean Gallia says, words of a resigned person. I can't see him staying for more than next season. Do you think that that's what it sounds like, Michael? Well, Manchester United gave him a contract not so long ago, so, you know, whether that was the right or wrong move is open to question, but I can see him staying there for the long haul. And listen, he's never stayed at any club for that long. Is it, what, 3-4 years is maximum, Mourinho? 3 full seasons, I think it is, which... You know, so next season is, you know, absolutely massive. If things don't change, then he's not going to. But he's always been wanted, hasn't he, by big clubs? Yep. If he left Manchester United now, could he get a Barcelona job? No. Could he get the Real Madrid job? No. So, you know, where's he going to go from Manchester United? Chris, do you think even if they were to progress into the FA Cup finals and win it, the FA Cup's important now? Is that even good enough for the fans this season? No, I don't think it is. And you know, him talking about the past, I mean, people are bound to compare the past, how great, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson's team was. He was supposed to come in and change things and get them back to that level. And it's been second-rate. Manchester United, the biggest club in the world, you know, talked about the biggest club in the world. Well, they're miles off on the pitch. No, it was clear that Mourinho went into that press conference. He kind of went in with a bit of a smile on his face. It was clear he'd prepared absolutely everything he was going to say. This spiel on football heritage went on for around 12 minutes. You, as a manager, known for being quite outspoken, have you ever gone into a press conference and with a prepared statement like that? Yes, of course. Yeah, when your back's against the wall, you have to come out and he certainly got us back against the wall after Tuesday night. You know, the performances in the league. Even though they'd beaten Liverpool and beaten Chelsea, again, the style of football has not been what the Manchester United public want. And I think that's irking him. He's a winner, and he has been the last 10, 15 years, one of the top managers in club football. He's got his hands full now with this job, and people are starting to turn on him and ask him questions. And he's getting a little bit sensitive to it. You said he smiled. It's the first time I've seen him smile at Manchester United since he walked in the door. Because his demeanour's totally different. Is it the biggest thing, his style of football over winning the big trophies? I think he, at Inter Milan, they were a counter-attacking team. At Porto, as we know personally, you know, very good team, well set up defensively. his Real Madrid team, of all teams which he didn't win the Champions League, were the most attacking team he probably had. They scored over 100 goals in the Liga, broke all sorts of records. He's not getting it right. He's not getting the balance right at the minute at Manchester United. Spurs, Liverpool, even Chelsea, certainly Man City, are all far more easy on the eye than this Manchester United team. And it's not as if he hasn't been backed. He's been backed.
That's right. So what's going to happen in the summer? I mean, how much United are going to spend? Do they trust him now? Do they, go and spend another 200 million? Is he the man to take the club forward? And they're the questions the board will be thinking about.
Well, we've actually done a poll on exactly that, Chris. It's as if you knew and teed me up. This has already had 25,000 votes on Twitter, and it's running all afternoon, so you can still vote on this. It's on the BT Sport Football Twitter page and also on BT Sport Score. Is Jose Mourinho the right man to take Manchester United forward? 36% say yes, but a huge 64% say no. Are you surprised by that, Michael, in any way?
Well, I think if you'd done that poll after the Liverpool game at the weekend, it would probably be the opposite way around. So, people do shop and change their mind quite quickly.
The cynical football
fan. Exactly. It is fickle. But, no, listen, I wouldn't get carried away. Polls. I didn't think they played that well against Liverpool. I thought it was, an all right, but 2 long balls and they win the game. So, I wouldn't go on that cynical ride like most fans, but I would be questioning it overall because it's, as the lad said, it's just not pretty on the eye and they're not winning.
He won the Europa League last year against Ajax, where they set in, and basically they were saying, we're not going to be able to outplay Ajax. They ended up winning the game 2-0, and you're thinking, right, this season, there's got to be some sort of progression in the style of play, maybe more possession-based, or certainly more attacking-based.
Or in winning trophies.
Well, he always wins trophies. There's one thing Mourinho guarantees is trophies, but if he starts lacking in that department with the style of football, he won't last long at Manchester United.
And Chris, finally, I mean, in the immediate future, so we're talking this afternoon in just a few hours' time, his players have got to go out on the pitch at Old Trafford and play a game. Will his press conference yesterday be any kind of distraction?
Would it be a distraction? I wouldn't think so for the players. You concentrate on the job in hand. What it is, though, it is absolutely crucial that there is a big response. Or are we going to see another 12-minute on Monday morning?
I hope so. All right, well, guys, we're going to be talking more about this, plus all of today's 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League and all the football up and down the country. We look forward to seeing you then. Join us, BT Sport 1 at 2:30.